Praise the Lord and happy Sabbath. Happy Sabbath. Of course, this is not yet late. We are on the third Sabbath of a brand new year. And how is your resolution going? Is it holding on? Or all the resolutions are still up in the air? Or maybe we are back to what we call the always old normal, and then nothing has changed as far as our spiritual standing is concerned. Well, hopefully, I hope whatever resolutions you did in the entrance of this brand new year, especially those positive resolutions, I hope it's still holding on for the glory of God. Well, I know the pandemic has really created a lot of disturbance as well as confusion among our churches right here in the high desert. It has created havoc to some families. Some relationships have been destroyed because of this pandemic. But friends, let's always look up, because this is one way where the enemy is trying his best to distract us as we continue in really uniting ourselves with the God of heaven, considering that we know that his coming is very soon. The enemy, Satan, is trying his best to just snatch us away from that kind of fellowship, connection with God. And one of the ways that he did or is doing is this pandemic, and many more. But let us not lose sight that there is still a God. And according to the messenger of the church, Ellen White, there's nothing to fear for the future, except if we forget the past. Well, we have some visitors today, and of course, just like Brother Lorito welcome us and all of you, surely, and indeed we are always open here every Sabbath. We have not been ordered to do a lockdown here in Apple Valley All Nations Seventh Adventist Church. Just like my other church there in the Waterman, Visayan, Philam, we're all open, all Sabbaths right there, and we're happy that, well, there is this chance that we are open. Of course, we have to make sure, because there is always something special when we are together as we worship. You know, it's really different when you are just right at home, with under the convenience and comfort of your warm home, but it's different when we see each other as brethren, brothers and sisters, fellowshipping each other, strengthening each other, and, you know, interacting each other. Although, of course, we have to observe correct protocols as we continue and try to overcome these circumstances that we have. Now, for a few moments, I'd like to just share with you this theme that I'm bringing to you today, and it is entitled, "The Best Deal You Can Make." The best deal we can make. What is that deal? And how can we make that deal? Well, I know a man who likes to share his Christian faith using simple questions. I know some of us have that experience. You would like to share your Christian faith, and you also ask questions. Now, here is this one who would like to just, you know, share his faith by asking those simple questions. Now, if he is meeting someone for the first time, he will ask this question. He will ask this question. He says right there, "What do you do for a living?" That might be the first question, right? What do you do for a living? Well, maybe the person will answer, "Well, I am a doctor." Or maybe, "I teach Spanish at the high school or elementary school." What do you do for a living? Maybe I run a non-profit, or I'm a stockholder, or I'm a writer. Maybe those are some of the answers you give to this particular question. What do you do for a living? Now the question works because we all do something, right? We all do something. We are able to answer simply and very easily that question. So it's easy to get people to talk, to interact, what they do for a living. Now then comes the second question. Here is the second question. What are you living for? What are you living for? Usually, when you are asked, or when we ask somebody, there is always a moment of silence because people don't know how to answer that question. What are you living for? But you know what? It's a good one. It's a good one because just as we all do something, we work for something, we all live for something. We all live for something, even if we don't know what it is. So it's a good pause to ask ourselves. We pause for a moment to ask ourselves, what are we living for? What are you living for? What am I living for? Well, people may say, well, I live for money. Or people may say, I live for fame. Or maybe people will answer, or somebody will answer, that I live for approval. Or other stuff. You will answer this particular question. What are you living for? So to help us answer that question, let's take a trip back in time. I'd like to bring you back in time to a place called, I know you're familiar with this, for those of you who were there one time, you know this place, right? Caesarea Philippi. It's in the Bible. I'd like to bring you to that place called Caesarea Philippi. That red mark right there, that's Caesarea Philippi. For those of you who are having a hard time, reading it from a distance. It is a Roman city. It is a Roman city that is located north of the Sea of Galilee. Now, one interesting landscape of this city, it is a huge rock cliff. This is a city in Caesarea Philippi, which is, the landscape is a huge rock cliff that dominates the landscape. And at the base of this huge rock cliff is a stream. It is a stream right there, beautiful. It flows on its way to the Jordan River. They call that stream, I forgot the name of that for those of you who were there before, Banyas, right? That's the origin of the Jordan River as it flows and then goes to the Sea of Galilee. And it comes from that huge rock cliff, where they call it Caesarea Philippi. Now, it is a critical moment for Jesus. Because all Israel, during that time, all Israel was buzzing with word of this man from Galilee, Jesus. There were talks about him, buzzing throughout Israel of this particular man named Jesus coming from Galilee. Who is he? Who is he? And by what power does he perform his miracles? He's been performing miracles. And people say, what does he want? What is he planning to do? Why is he doing some miracles or miracles? Now, after a wave of, early popularity, the nation is now divided. And it's true. It's true because Jesus has a wide following. He has so many people that follows him wherever he went. Common people. But it is also true, according to the story, that among the rich and the powerful, opinion is slowly crystallizing against him, against Jesus. Now in the distance, the drums of angry opposition are beginning to beat. And before too many months, we are told, their sound will become a deafening ear. It's so loud already, people are already opposing Jesus. The way he's dealing with the common people, especially. Now, knowing all this, and knowing that it would end in his death, eventually, Jesus, right there in Caesarea Philippi, gathered his disciples. It's a beautiful story, actually. He gathered his disciples, brought them to a quiet place right there in Caesarea Philippi. And he just wanted to come close together with them. Okay, come here. Let's talk it over. And right there with them in a deeper commitment, Jesus would like to know from among his disciples, what was it about him? What was it about him? Or what is it about him? So it is here that Jesus, when he gathered them right there in that beautiful place of Caesarea Philippi, he said, who do you say I am? Who do you say I am? You know, in Matthew 16:13, it says right there, who do people say the Son of Man is? Because after trying to disperse them in that area, you know, try to observe, there are people that are around here that are talking about me. Now, observe and listen to what they are talking about me. So when they came back, some of the disciples said, well, some of those people right there say that you are Elijah. Some of them said right there that you're Moses. All these patriarchs in the olden times. And so here comes the question. Come here, okay. Now, I would like to ask you one question. Who do people say the Son of Man is? Or who do you say I am? And you know what? Of the 12, you know, the impulsive disciple, a character that is, you know, just like to some of us, very, not even thinking of what to say, you right away blurt into an answer or say something. The impulsive disciple, who is that? Peter. Okay, Peter. And here Peter makes his confession. What did Peter answer? He says right there, you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. Wow. That was the confession of Peter. After so many months coming together with the master, the rabbi, the teacher, Jesus, this was his confession. You are the Christ, the Son of the living God. But the conversation does not end there. The story will not end there. For Jesus is seeking more than just a confession from one of his disciples, Peter. He was looking for something, not just a confession. Jesus was also seeking a commitment. Jesus was seeking a commitment. Now that you know who I am, are you willing to commit your life to me? Friends, brothers, and sisters, we have confessed Jesus to the world, to your friend. You have told him to a particular co-worker, probably, or a relative. Now the question is, have you committed yourself to him? Or did you commit yourself to him? This is how Jesus, put it this way. The issue, when he was, talking with his disciples right there at Caesarea Philippi, that was read earlier by Brother Loredo. And I'd like to share that the scriptures again, that is found in Mark 8:34-37. In Mark 8:34-37, Jesus put it in context. He says, if anyone will come after me, he must deny himself and what? Take up his cross and follow me. For whoever wants to save his life will lose it. But whoever loses his life for me and the gospel will save it. What good is it for a man to gain the whole world, yet forfeit his soul? Or what can a man give in exchange for his soul? Now, Jesus tried to put it in context. Now, take a careful look at these verses in Matthew chapter 8. Take a careful look, 34 to 37. Because in the New International Version, if you're holding a New International Version Bible, you will notice that the word life is twice. That's why I try to highlight it as red. You notice the word life? Twice. Jesus mentioned it twice. And the word soul, he also mentioned it twice. I highlighted it in yellow. Notice it there? So he mentioned it twice. But in the Greek, which is the original tongue, or the New Testament, Greek Aramaic, they are not two different words. They are the same. Life, soul. They are two the same words. The Greek word is psyche. Have you heard of that word? P-S-Y-C-H-E? Psyche or psyche. That is where our English word psychology comes from. Psychology, from the word psyche. Sometimes it refers to the immaterial part of me, immaterial part of you, which is the soul, as opposed to his body or this body. But more often, it refers to the whole man, or to the inner, conscious self that we call personality. Your personality, my personality, it is the totality of our personality that has something to do with that context that Jesus mentioned right there in Caesarea Philippi. The psyche is the real you. It is the real me that lives, that breathes, and of course makes decisions. That is the psyche. That is your personality. My inner consciousness. Life, quote unquote, is not a bad translation so long as we remember it means more than just physical existence. More than physical existence. So, with that background, I'd like to paraphrase this context, or these verses that Jesus shared with his disciples, or shared with us. I'd like to paraphrase these verses this way. Now that you know who I am, are you ready to take up your cross and follow me? Before you answer, let me warn you that following me will seem in the eyes of the world as if you are wasting your life. The people of the world will never understand what you are doing. The people of the world will seem to think that by following me, you are just throwing your life away. You always have another option. Now I'm just trying to paraphrase this three verses. You always have another option. You can try to save your own life by following your own desire. Lots of people do that. Lots of people do that. They live as if their career was all that mattered. But the people who live only for this life, in the end, will find they wasted it on things that don't really matter. They try to save it by living for themselves, but in the end, they will lose it. They have wasted their lives on trivial pursuits. But if you follow me, though the way will not be easy, and you will often be misunderstood, in the end, you will save your life. And the people who laugh at you now will not laugh at you then. They will say you were right and they were wrong. After all, what good will it do if you become the richest man in the world, or climb the top of the corporate ladder, or rise to the highest salary level in your company, or win the applause of the world? What good will it do if in the end we will find out it was all wasted? What good will the shiny new Lexus do for you then? Will you be able to trade it for another life? No, you won't. But if you want to live that way, go ahead. Millions of people do. In the end, you will be sorry. but by then it will be too late to do something about it. So what will it be? What will it be? The way of the cross or the way of the world? You've got to invest your life somewhere. What's the best deal? What's the best deal that you can make is the question today. Now, the life of Jesus, friends, brothers and sisters, the life of Jesus is the best answer to that question. What is the best deal? Consider the facts of his career. Consider the facts of his career. Jesus was born in an obscure village, in an out-of-the-way province of the Roman Empire. Jesus never went to college, nor did he have any professional training. He never had a bank account. Jesus owned no property except the clothes of his back. Jesus never held public office. He never wrote a book, did he? No, Jesus never wrote a book. He never had a wife or children. Jesus, his closest friends, mostly were blue-collar workers. His friends were blue-collar workers. Jesus, he felt at home among the outcasts of society. He felt at home with them. His ministry consisted of preaching in the countryside, teaching in the synagogues, answering difficult questions, healing the sick, casting out demons. His opponents openly accused him of consorting with the devil. And along the way, Jesus made many powerful enemies by exposing their corruption in high places. And finally, his adversaries captured him, tried him in a kangaroo court, and put him to death. Now, friends, my dear brothers and sisters, to be perfectly honest, by most modern standards, today, we would consider Jesus a failure, right? We would consider him a failure. He never made it to the top? Never. If ever there was a man who seemed to waste his life, it was Jesus. It was him. But consider this. After more than 2,000 years, we are already 2022. More than 2,000 years. His words are still remembered and repeated around the world. His followers number in billions and can be found in every country on earth. His personality or personal integrity stands unsullied amidst the attacks of the cynics and the sneers of the ignorant. His death, which seems to be a tragedy, has become the means by which you and I are reconciled to God. His whole mission on earth, his whole mission in this world, which seemed to be a failure, has now become history's greatest success story. Now you may ask, how can this be? How can this be? He was humiliated to the point of death and seemed to lose his life for no purpose whatsoever. Yet, through his death, God exalted him to the very highest position in the universe. What did Paul say about this? That's the question. What's the best deal you can make? Paul says, so that the name of Jesus, every knee should bow, in heaven and on earth, and under the earth, and every tongue confess that Jesus Christ is Lord, to the glory of God the Father. That's Paul telling us. So Jesus made it very clear why he did, what he did, and when he said, unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, what? It remains alone. But if it dies, what? It bears much fruit. Wonderful in John 12:24. Unless a grain of wheat falls into the ground and dies, it remains alone. but if it dies, it bears much fruit. Out of one seed comes forth what? A vast harvest. Now, some of us here are gardeners, maybe at the backyard. You have been planting some stuff in your backyard. Out of one seed comes forth a vast harvest by October or November, harvest time. But that seed, what must you do? Must die in order to what? To bring forth fruit. That's this text is all about. As long as the seed saves its life, it remains alone. I'd like to repeat that. As long as the seed saves its life, it remains alone. But when it loses its life, it brings forth the harvest. You cannot save your own life, but you can lose it. It's simple, really. It's simple. If you try to save your life, if I try to save my life in the end, you lose it. I lose it. But if you dare to lose it for Jesus' sake, in the end, you will save it. Jesus himself is the supreme example of this principle. He is supreme example of this principle. Now, there is yet another way of looking at this whole question of losing and saving your life. That is to ask the question, is your life a career or is your life a mission? There's another way of asking those two previous questions. Is your life a career or is it a mission? There is a vast difference between these two concepts. Now, a quick glance at the dictionary and it reveals the essence of the difference. What is a career? Well, a career is something you choose for yourself. That's a career. What about a mission? A mission is something chosen for you by someone else. That's a mission. A career is something you choose for yourself. A mission is something chosen for you by someone else. Now, there is a huge difference between living for your career and being sent on a mission. You know, to tell you frankly, the Bible never talks about having a career. There is no such thing, and you can find the word career in the Bible. Having a career is not a biblical issue. It is not. Having a mission is. Having a mission is. It is not that believers don't have careers. We do. You have careers. I have careers. You know, some of us are nurses, some of us are laboratory scientists probably, some are doctors, some are computer scientists, some are teachers, some are accountants, some are mechanics, some are writers. Okay? But the difference is this. The people of the world live for their careers, but the people of God don't. They don't live for their careers. When your career is central in your life, when you're career-driven and career-minded, while you climb the career ladder, you take a job, for example, leave it 2 years later because it's a good career move, or you break all the significant relationships in one place, and then move across the country or onto another state because your career demands it. Everything is calculated to get you someday to that elusive place called the top. And when you get there, your career will complete, or will be complete, and the world will applaud your achievement. But I am suggesting here that being career-minded in this sense is precisely what Jesus meant when he said, "He who would save his life will lose it." Your career may well keep you from fulfilling your mission in life, and your mission may never make much sense as a career. Your career is the answer to the question, what do you do for a living? Your mission is the answer to the question, what are you living for? Your career is a ladder to climb. Your mission is a journey to take. Your career takes you to the top. Your mission leads you to the cross. Your career makes you a professional, but your mission makes you a disciple. Your career takes you to the top, yes. Your mission leads you to the cross. And your career is about the here and now, but your mission is about eternity. If you are just here to eat, if you are just here to sleep, go to college, get a degree, get married, get a job, have some children, climb the ladder, make some money, buy a summer home, retire gracefully, grow old and die, then what's the big deal? What's the big deal? All of that is okay, but if that's all there is to life, friends, brothers and sisters, if that's all that there is to life, then you are really no different from the pagans who didn't believe in God. Not long after that, we just have to consider what Jesus exemplified. Let's put it this way. Jesus calls his followers to be totally sold out to his kingdom. Jesus calls his followers to be totally sold out to his kingdom. That applies to all Christians, all of us, all the time. Not just to full-time Christian workers as pastors or missionaries. Suppose you are an electrical engineer or you are an attorney. Just supposing you are an electrical engineer or an attorney. Here is God's job description for you. If you are an electrical engineer or if you are an attorney, you are a missionary cleverly disguised as an electrical engineer. You are a missionary cleverly disguised as an attorney. It's nice to have a career, I know, but it's far better to be on a mission for God. It's not wrong to have a career and do well by the world standards. Nor is it sinful to move across the country. No, these are good ones. But motivation is everything. Motivation is everything. Two people may follow the same career path, and both of them may end up at the top. Yet one may be living solely for his career, while the other sees his life as a divinely ordained mission from God. One has to lose his life, the other has to save it. Just as Jesus said, ask yourself, did Jesus have a career? No. He had a mission from God to be the Savior of this world. Nothing he did makes sense from a career point of view. Nothing, nada. Nothing Jesus did makes sense from a career point of view. But being crucified, well, being crucified is not a good career. Is it a good career to be crucified? Well, yet by his death, we are told, he reconciled the world to God. Was he a success or a failure? The answer is obvious. Was he a success or failure? You know, in November of 2017, just about 3 years, more than 3 years, I remember this guy. His name is David Cassidy. He was an American singer, songwriter, and guitarist. He died at the age of 67 because of liver failure due to alcohol abuse. He lives right here in Los Angeles. He is remembered for his role in the 1970s sitcom, The Partridge Family. Have you heard of that sitcom? The Partridge Family, David Cassidy. And according to his daughter, just before he died on his deathbed, his last words were, so much time wasted. So much time wasted. 67 years old. I think that's the fear of many people, that we will come to the end and look back with regret. That we will come to the end and realize we wasted our one and only life. Sooner or later, we will come to the end of our earthly journey, friends, brothers and sisters. Sooner or later, we will come to the end of our earthly journey. What will we have to show for our time here on earth? What will you show to God for your time here on this earth? No doubt we can all look back on too much wasted time, according to this God. So when I thought about this quote from David Cassidy, his final words, I remember also another guy. His name is Dr. Benjamin Mays. He was an American Baptist minister and civil rights leader. And I'd like to share his thought on that. He said, I have just 1 minute, only 60 seconds in it. Forced upon me, cannot refuse it. Didn't seek it, didn't choose it, but it's up to me to use it. I must suffer it. I must suffer if I lose it, give account if I abuse it, just a tiny little minute, but eternity is in it. Eternity is in this 1 minute, in this 60 seconds. Dr. Mays was right. He was right. It may only be a minute, but eternity is in it. Eternity is in it. You know, this last story that I'd like to share to you is one of the sermons of Rabbi Zacharias. Maybe you have heard about him. Rabbi Zacharias is an American, Canadian, Indian, born Christian minister and apologist. He tells the story of Robert Jaffrey of Canada. Robert Jaffrey of Canada. Robert, according to the story, he came from a very wealthy family. And in fact, he was heir to the large newspaper fortune in Toronto, Canada. Robert Jaffrey. When he was a young man, Robert learned the Chinese language and was offered a large salary by Standard Oil Company of New York if he would forego his missionary career and just work for Standard Oil of New York. He was offered a huge salary. He refused. Robert refused. So he doubled the salary offer, but Robert Jaffrey refused again. So the company cabled him, sent him a cable with this message: Robert Jaffrey, any cost, at any cost you like. He cabled back, and this was his cable: your salary is big, but your job is too small. Your salary is big, but your job is too small. What happened? According to the story, Robert Jaffrey spent 35 years as a missionary in China, and he helped translate the Bible into Cantonese. When World War II broke out, he and other missionaries were placed in an internment camp. Robert died there 2 weeks before the end of the war. Did he waste his life? Did Robert waste his life? C.D. Studd, a British missionary, said it this way. He said, only one life will soon be past. Only what's done for Christ will last. C.D. Studd. Only one life will soon be past, and only what's done for Christ will last. One day, all of us here in this church, in this sanctuary, will pass from this life into the presence of God. What will we say on that day? What will we say that day? More importantly, what will the Lord say about us when He comes again? What will He ask of us? Well, the martyred missionary, Jim Elliot, maybe you have heard about him, a martyred missionary he said it this way: he is no fool who gives what he cannot keep to gain what he cannot lose. Jim Elliot, he is no fool who gives what he cannot keep to gain what he cannot lose. So if you try to save your life, you will lose it in the end. But if you lose your life for Jesus' sake, in the end, you will save it. If you live for your career, what difference will it make 10 seconds after you die? And if you spend your life in the service of the kingdom, the road will not be easy. Yes, I know. We know. Serving Christ may not be easy, but 10,000 years from now, you won't regret your decision. You won't regret your decision. We only get one chance to do whatever we're going to do on planet Earth, because soon enough, sooner than we think, our moment in the sun will be over. Another year of our life is closed. How can we look back upon it? Another year was gone. Have we made advancement in the divine life? Have we increased in spirituality? Have we crucified self with the affections and lusts? Have we an increased interest in the study of God's Word? Have we gained decided victories over our own feelings and waywardness? Oh, what has been the record of our life for the year 2021, which has now passed into eternity, will never be recalled. Will never be recalled. That's why the messenger of the church, Ellen White, said it succinctly. She says, as you enter upon this new year, a new year, right here, you are still 15 days into this new year, still pretty brand new. Let it be with an earnest resolve to have your course onward and upward. Let your life be more elevated and exalted than it was or it has ever been. Make it your aim not to seek your own interest and pleasure, but to advance the cause of your Redeemer. Remain not in a position where you ever need help yourself, and where others are to guard you, to keep you in a narrow way. You will be strong to exert a sanctifying influence upon others. You may be aware, or you may be aware your soul's interest will be awakened to do good to others, to comfort the sorrowful. Yes, to comfort the sorrowful, strengthen the weak, and to bear your testimony for Christ. Whenever opportunity offers, aim to honor God in everything, always and everywhere. Carry your religion into everything. Be thorough in whatever you undertake. Testimonies for the Church, Volume 2, pages 261 and 262. Do you have a career? Or are you on a mission for God? The answer to that question makes all the difference in the world. And I'd like to repeat those two questions I asked in the beginning and ask you to ponder them again in the light of what God's Word says. The questions are, here it is, what do you live for a living? What do you do for a living? Most of us can answer that question easily. Yes, but what are you living for? What are you living for? That's a harder question. May God help us to live for Christ today and every day of this brand new year. May this will be our prayer. The Lord bless us.